Hello, BookTube. I'm continuing with my library tour after a bit of a pause. We're going to continue with this library tour now that I feel like I'm able to get back up from the floor when I get down here. We're going to continue on at this level, and then we'll work our way up this bookcase. We'll start off with the Transwise books. There are Transwise books in this next bookcase. It was also custom made for me, but I specifically asked for headroom so that I could put in Transwise books. This one has no lip space at all. This one is just about 7 inches deep, so there's no way to put any kind of bobblehead or coin or anything like that on the edge of this, but there is room on top for books. So our Transwise book, we just have one, and it is Ben Goldfarb's book, Eager, which is all about beavers. It is a tremendously good book. I reviewed this book and also talked to the author. I had just a great time doing it. Beavers routinely get good books, and this is one of them. Just talking about what a keystone species they are, how foolhardy it is to hunt them, much less exterminate them, and also tons and tons of good stuff about their natural history, their biology, all that sort of thing. Then we have a book that I love. It's a very wonky thing. This is by Robert Graves and Joshua Podro, and it is the Nazarene Gospel Restored. And it is very much along the lines of Robert Graves' 2-volume The Greek Myths, where you get a brief reading from the Gospels, and then comparison between all of the Gospels on that passage, and then a discourse about it by these two authors. I suspect mostly by Graves. I think probably his co-writer was there for scholastic support. Certainly a lot of the elaborations very much feel like Robert Graves in that they are both incredibly eloquent and interesting, and also just a little bit cracked. I think this is absolutely fascinating. This is one passionate reader's walkthrough of every single tiny little detail of the New Testament, which is just wonderful. Wish I could find it with a dust jacket. Although when I got this thing in 2021, and when I hauled it from the Brattle, I think a number of you emailed me and said that it is enormously expensive online. And I can only imagine that would double if there was a dust jacket involved. So I don't count on ever seeing it again. Then we have, this was a new release. I think of it that way, but it got to me before we were talking with each other. This was from, 2011. So long before I had a BookTube channel. This is by the great Anthony Grafton. This is Worlds Made by Words. Wonderful, brainy book from, who did this? Harvard? Harvard University Press did this. Just a wonderful, brainy book about books and writing and the communities that spring up around them. I just loved it. Absolutely loved it. Okay, then we have a double. We've already come across this, I believe, at one point or another. This is, here you are. You are right there in front of me. All right, you go, because you have a library covering. This is Mark Merlis' book, An Arrow's Flight, which we've already seen on this library tour. This just has a library covering over it. And this is, as I mentioned when we saw it, 2 weeks ago, this is basically the story of the post-Homerica, of the rest of the Troy story, only the rest of the Troy story after the Iliad, only updated for the contemporary world, with the son of Achilles being a sulky, sexy go-go dancer. And it is, I know that description doesn't make it sound so, but it's terrific. Just terrific. I am a bit of a sweet tooth for Homerica of any kind, and also all later pastiches. And this is one of the best I've ever read. Just very unconventional. Then we have Rumpole a la carte by John Mortimer. This has stories that will be, they were, I'm sure, in the Rumpole collections that we've seen. Let's find out. Rumpole a la carte, Rumpole in the Summer of Discontent, Rumpole in the Right to Silence, Rumpole at Sea, Rumpole and the Quacks, and Rumpole for the Prosecution. I'm sure that these are in Forever Rumpole. I have this volume because of this incredible cover artwork. That is just amazing cover artwork. And they got this artist to do a few of these. That is Rumpole's whole world. There's his battered briefcase. There's a bottle of Chateau Thames Embankment. There's his umbrella and his soiled wig. And this is just a perfect illustration of Rumpole. One of those book covers where if you didn't know what it was, you'd probably still be able to guess who this was. So I got that, and this next one's the same way. This is Rumpole on trial. Again, I have these stories elsewhere, but I got it for this great cover art. That is just great cover art. So I have those two, and I think somewhere this author, that artist, I should probably see if I can find out who the artist is, right, since I'm praising them. Christopher Green does the artwork here, very British name. And Christopher Green did 2 or 3 others, and I have them somewhere. They're not, none of the Rumpole is together here, as you can see. Oh, okay, great. This next one is a beautiful trade paperback. This is from Princeton University Press. A lovely trade paperback of Yuri Slezkin's book, The House of Government. Big, fat Russian epic. This is nonfiction, but it is very much a Russian epic about a sprawling apartment building in Soviet-era Moscow, and what it was to live there, and what it said about how it reflected society over the decades of its existence. I thought, what an unpromising subject, and I was sucked into this thing. I got it as an advance copy. I think we saw it on this channel in all of its stages. I got it as an advance copy, then I got the finished copy. I thought it was incredible, just amazingly absorbing. And if I thought it was so absorbing, you might wonder, why don't I have the hardcover? Why did I get the trade paperback? And the reason why is because I'm blurbed on the trade paperback in some pretty good company. The blurbs are all in different panels on the back here. And not only am I blurbed with Tom Stoppard, but also with Margaret Atwood. So that's never going to happen again. So I figure I might as well have the trade paperback instead. Then we have one volume in a series. That's kind of odd. This is Prentice Alvin, book 3 of Orson Scott Card's Alvin Maker books. It's the best book in the series as far as I'm concerned, but I should have all of them in hardcover, and if I do, they should all be together in hardcover. This is the story. It's set in a fantasy version of colonial and pre-colonial America, or the world, really, but America is where it takes place, where history has gone very differently in a lot of ways. America is set up very differently in a lot of ways, and also there is a magic system. Some characters have knacks, what they call knacks. Very folksy type of magic. Some people will have a knack for being fire starters, firebugs, so that they can, pyrokinesis, they can start fires from a distance with their minds. Others have a doodlebug as a knack, which is sort of remote sensing. They can feel their way along the ground or inside a wall or something like that. And a bunch of other kinds of knacks, just a bunch of them. And Alvin Maker, the main character, is the 7th son of a 7th son, and he is a maker with a capital M, which means that he has the sum and essence of all knacks. Really, the ability to affect the world on a subatomic level. And it's amazing how he learns that he is that, and then discovers what that means. And I think the storytelling, the world building is great. I think the world building and the storytelling cross at their strongest points in this book. There are a couple of books before this and a few books after it that are good, but not as good, I don't think. Oh, okay. Wonderful. All right. This shouldn't be in here, but still. This is Personal History by Katharine Graham. This is her big, long-awaited memoir about her life, her rather courageous relationship with her husband, and also her history-making turn as the only woman in a man's world, as the person who runs the Washington Post when it was taking down a president. And it's wonderful. It really helps when you read this book if you can read it in her voice. I don't actually know if she did the audiobook for this or if there even is one. It'd be an amazing thing, though. I don't usually recommend the audiobook over the printed book, but a lot of these the women who helped her to write this really captured her voice, and as such, I think it's an amazing memoir in American history, an amazing American memoir. And then the final book, which we've seen just recently already, this is volume number 9 in the Cambridge Ancient History. Cambridge Ancient History was a whole shelf of great ancient history volumes. that had the inspired decision to be by multiple hands, different aspects of a period. So, we saw the volume on the Rome of Augustus Caesar, where different people there'll be a long chapter about Augustus's personal background and his private biography, and that'll be written by one expert, by one ancient Roman expert. There'll be another study about what Palestine was like during that time by an expert, but a different expert. So that the Cambridge Ancient Histories read like the very best combination of scholarly monograph and encyclopedia. The only thing you sacrifice with that is straightforward narrative energy. Straightforward narrative momentum is gone because you have different chapters being written by people who often didn't know what their compatriots were writing. And I love the series. Absolutely love it. I wouldn't want them all. If I saw the whole series at, for instance, the Brattle Bookshop here in Boston, I wouldn't just scoop them all up. There are volumes in the Cambridge Ancient History that don't interest me, or enough to have such a huge, they're all huge volumes. There are 3 that I really want, and 9 is one of them. 9 is about Republican Rome. The end of the Republic, of the Roman Republic, and the wars that ended it, the grasping greed that ended it, and also what was rising in its place. And I got it as a naked hardcover at the Brattle. It didn't have a dust jacket. The dust jacket wouldn't have been anything to write home about anyway. And I knew right away what I wanted to do. I wanted to make a dust jacket for it. And not only a dust jacket, but I wanted to customize the dust jacket. And I did. I did do that. I made a dust jacket and I retitled the book. The book, when I look at it on the shelf, is no longer the Cambridge Ancient History Volume 9. Instead, it's Republican Rome. And I also put an illustration on the cover. There are 2 clueless tourists talking to a tour guide in the ruins of ancient Rome. And the caption is, I suppose there's there's quite a story behind all of this. That's what this story is. That's what the story of this book is. And I just recently found one of the other 2 Cambridge Ancient History volumes that I really want, volume 10, the one right after this one, about Augustus, about the Rome of Augustus. I just need to do the same thing with it. I need to make a cover, then coat that cover, put a protective coating of tape over it, and then design it. I design the cover. I know what I want to call the book. I know the image that I want on the cover. I know everything that I want to do. I just haven't done it. It'd be the patient work of a couple of hours in an afternoon to do, and I just keep putting it off. But that is it. That is our resumed library tour here on this bottom shelf, which has done me some good because it allowed me to pull off a double that just simply does not need to be here. I do not need doubles, especially in the little book room. I do not need doubles. So off that book goes. And we will move on to the next shelf. I will just stay here on the floor and we'll move on to the next shelf tomorrow. So I'll wrap this up for now, and I will see you then. Thank you, BookTube.